What's up, everybody? The Arid Lord is here. Welcome back to another Walking Dead vlog, and this one is for The World Before, a review of the mid-season finale for Season 10 of The Walking Dead. Now, some of you might be wondering, why is there no reaction video to this? Well, unfortunately, the file that I recorded the reaction on, unfortunately, got messed up halfway through, around the point where Virgil explains to Michonne about the naval base, and Michonne is about to have a conversation with Judith about where she needs to go. The file messed up, and I have the reaction up until that point. Now, the only stuff I really missed was Michonne going off on the boat, and then obviously the ending when the group gets trapped in that cave with all of the walkers. So that was about it. I can still put up the reaction if you guys want. Just let me know. To be honest, the reaction videos this half season, I have to say, haven't really been doing that well. I don't know if it's because there's a lot of other Walking Dead reactors, some people that I actually watch. But it's interesting that the reviews and the previews that I've done have actually gained more traction. Just looking at the interest and the viewership and stuff, those have actually gained more traction in some parts than the actual reaction video, which was never the case with previous seasons, but for season 10 it is. I'll probably discuss more of that in December. If you guys still want me to do reaction videos, I mean, I want to make sure that there's still a demand for them. The second half looks absolutely nuts. I'm going to make a separate vlog about the preview video that we were given for the second half of Season 10. So that'll be coming later in the week after this. But just to review this episode, for an extended episode, I must say I was a little underwhelmed with this episode overall. In some parts, I don't really feel bad about not doing a full reaction video to this episode, because there were just a lot of areas that I felt were lackluster, for lack of a better word. You obviously had to deal with the fallout of Sadiq's death and dealing with Dante, the traitor. They showed in the opening sequence how he infiltrated the gates. That was a big question that I had. Alpha, it's a move. It was an alpha move. She was one step ahead. She wanted to make sure they weren't conspiring and breaking rules. So Dante was the eyes inside the walls, and he basically was the big traitor, and he messed with the water. He was writing the Silence the Whisperers. Some people think he also released Negan from prison. There's a line that kind of suggested that. I don't know why he would, because he doesn't really know the history of Negan, and if Negan would even want to get back at the communities. They never really confirmed that. I mean, some people think it's Carol still. Some people think it's Dante. At this point, I mean, Negan's with the Whisperers, whatever. We've already established this. I will get to that, because there was no Negan in this episode. I will just say, the Walking Dead promo on their Twitter was like, where are we on? What side is Negan on? It's like, why are you hyping this up? We're not going to see him until the mid-season premiere at the earliest, which is in 2.5 months. And because The Walking Dead comes back later this year, it's on February 23rd. So now we're going to be waiting pretty much 3 months for the show to come back. And Negan, the last time we saw him in episode 6, he had just been, accepted by Alpha, quote unquote. But then he was absent from episode 7 and the mid-season finale, which was kind of puzzling. They focused a lot on the aftermath of, Sadiq's death, how Rosita and Father Gabriel were dealing with it. I must say, the scene where Gabriel went down into the prison and just brutally murdered Dante was an interesting move, because Dante was at one point calling them, she was calling them weak. Like, you're weak, this place is gonna die out. It's all the Whisperer logic when they see the communities in any sense, shape, and form. Basically, it's funny because Father Gabriel almost in a way was trying to prove him wrong. Like, oh, you think I'm weak? Well, let me just take this knife and stab you repeatedly over and over and over again. So, Yeah, that was brutal. And I did feel, Rosita being scared of dying because she has a child. And it's like a lot of characters who have something to fight for and suddenly they're afraid, and they're even more afraid inside the walls, and now that there's a traitor, and now this has increased the paranoia. And that was the big theme of this half, the PTSD, the paranoia, because now that guy Virgil, the black guy that was in Oceanside, they didn't know if he was a Whisperer. So Michonne, I remember Michonne said to one of the Oceanside residents, we don't know what a Whisperer is anymore, because now they're walking around as people, and we don't know if they're just random people who are trying to disguising them, Whisperers disguising themselves as people, which is weird. It's like three disguises: Whisperers disguising themselves as people who really want to disguise themselves to be walkers. That's my God, that's mind-boggling right there. But there were a few things that I missed, and I want to throw this image up. This promo image for the Season 10 trailer, when Judith is holding a Whisperer mask that they found washed up on the shore, that mask belonged to Dante. It belonged to Dante because he had that mask when he was in the barn forcing Sadiq to watch the beheadings, and he got rid of it so that he could blend in Alexandria, but he must have thrown it in the water because then it washed up on shore, and they found it. They found it on the beach in that very first episode. It was actually a comment of someone wrote that comment, and I was like, oh yeah, you're right. That they had all these little hints, and I had said this in last week's review when Sadiq would look at his mouth, and just there were little subtle clues that was building up to this reveal. And to be honest, that's really, other than Negan getting out of prison, some of the stuff with Lydia, a lot of the paranoia focused around this mysterious traitor. And it reached its conclusion with his death and what Father Gabriel did. But it was really the only event of the mid-season finale, because then you get to this second plot line where Michonne comes across this guy Virgil, as we mentioned. He's trying to steal a boat from the ocean side, and he reveals that he has a family with a group that's on a naval base near it's like I forget what island he said, but there's an island that his people are near, and it's near a naval boat. Now, we'll go through the preview images for the second half of Season 9, but we actually see Michonne on this naval boat. And again, I'll get into that when we do the previews for that second half. But it's actually a boat. It's actually a boat, and what Michonne hopes to do is get weapons they can use against the Whisperers. So the deal is that Virgil gets a boat, Michonne goes with him so he can get home, but Michonne gets weapons so that they can take out the Mega Horde. Meanwhile, Daryl, Carol, I think Kelly, Magna, Jerry, I think that's all of them. They're looking for the Horde as Gamma told Aaron. We saw this where Gamma says, I have information for you. That information was the location of the Mega Horde. However, they get to the location of the Mega Horde, and there's nothing there. And Aaron doesn't think that Mary, that's her name, that she was lying. Aaron doesn't think so. And he keeps saying this. Daryl's at his wit's end with Carol's erratic behavior. And I said this in the previews, and I said this in previous vlogs, where the erratic behavior of certain characters who are just doing what they want. It's funny because Gabriel kind of did that by killing Dante and taking that into his own hands. Carol's been doing it for a few episodes now. That drove Lydia away. And so that nothing really happens with that group. They just are meandering around, and then Alpha appears in the woods. Carol sees her, and then Carol chases after Alpha. Alpha's running away, and Alpha leads them inside this cave into the trap. So it was a trap. She leads them into the cave. They all fall down, and there's seemingly no way out from this massive horde. And you see that that's where the mega horde is located, and there's seemingly no way out. So, yeah, that's how the episode ends. So in this mid-season finale, we have no information on Lydia, where the heck she ran to. We have no information on what Negan's doing now that he's an accepted member of the Whisperers. Let's see, what else? We had a conversation between Ezekiel and Carol, but he didn't reveal his cancer diagnosis. It was just kind of like a, hey, how you doing? Nothing got accomplished in it. I'd say the Lydia stuff and the Negan stuff, I was just disappointed we didn't get an expansion upon that. Even the Whispers, like Alpha was only very briefly in this mid-season finale, and that was just a scene of her running into the cave to trap them. And it brought back flashbacks to previous, like I'd say like the season 6 mid-season finale when the wall came down of Alexandria and all those walkers swarmed in, and you thought that it was going to be No Way Out, where Carl loses his eye and everyone's got to fight back against the walkers. But in reality, it was just an episode of everyone just talking about the future and just wasting time and puttying around. And they left that episode for the mid-season premiere. I kind of feel the same way. I feel like they could have thrown more action and just something into this episode, and they didn't. They're leaving it for the mid-season premiere, and the back half of... it's just loaded. Like, the back half of Season 10 looks absolutely loaded with all... like, I'm going to go through... I don't even know if it's going to be one vlog I'm going to be able to get this, because I was seeing the slideshow of all of the things happening in the second half, the big overall preview that we get, and it just seems like there's so much going on. And the fact that a lot of it wasn't addressed in this episode was just a little frustrating. Even the Gamma stuff, like, she was very briefly in this episode. Like, we know why she turned coat, but in the preview, we see a lot of expansion upon some things, Again, I don't want to get into it in this vlog, but from the looks of the preview, it's everything that we maybe... like, some things. I don't obviously want one episode to rush the content, but I feel like the Virgil plotline with Michonne kind of took airtime away from some of the Whisper stuff, because Michonne obviously is leaving the show sometime in Season 10. Now, I thought that this was the setup. Like, oh, she goes to the naval base, something happens when they're en route, maybe there's a walker in the water that freaking pulls her under, or she gets captured by this naval base. I thought that they were setting something up like that so they could write her character off, but the previews for the second half seem to indicate she's coming back with weapons, and possibly some of Virgil's people. So, she's not out of the show yet. She definitely has a bigger role in this season than Rick did in Season 9. Because when Season 9 was Rick's last season, he was only in those 5 episodes, which really was the epilogue of the Savior storyline. It was the epilogue after Negan was captured. You had the rogue Saviors who really weren't with the program. And then that all came to a head. And Rick's disappearance normalized things and basically kind of put things in a state of normalcy for 6 years. So, but Michonne is sticking around longer, which I like. They're not just going to give her a half-assed death or a departure. I have some theories, and I'm going to make that a separate vlog. Like, how do you think Michonne is going to get written out of the show in the second half? Now that we know she's dealing with this naval base, she's on the open water, she's dealing with Virgil. Like, what's the way we think she's going to be written off the show? Do you think she'll die, or do you think she'll somehow discover news about Rick Grimes and go find him? I really hope it's the latter. I will be very frustrated if she dies. I will say that. I mean, I want to leave some of this for the vlog I want to make about Michonne. But I'm just going to say right now that if Michonne dies, if that's their way of writing her off the show, I will be very disappointed. I'll be very, 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 very disappointed if that's... because She needs to know. She needs to know that Rick is out there. And I would be very frustrated if she exits the show and doesn't know that Rick is alive out there. Like, I have some theories. And again, I want to just say them now, but I'm going to leave them for that vlog specifically. Okay? So, overall, oh man, what do I give this episode? I'll give it an 8, like a solid 8. I was praising so many of these episodes in season 10 so far, but I think this is the one where I was like, like it's okay. We got Dante's conclusion. Like, we knew he wasn't going to get out of this situation. You know, he murdered Sadiq in his own bedroom. There's no way he was going to escape. We knew he was either going to be... He was most likely going to be killed. Someone was going to kill him. Daryl, Rosita, Gabriel. It was Gabriel. So, you had Dante, and then you have all of the setup with Virgil in the Oceanside with Michonne to seemingly exit her from the show. And then you had all of this meandering in the woods to find the mega herd, and it doesn't go anywhere. And only at the end of the episode do we have something eventful happen when Alpha tricks them into going into the cave. But that is a cliffhanger, quite literally a cliffhanger, because they're on a cliff in this cave with all these walkers. So I don't know. I didn't like it. Just the cliffhanger felt like a gimmick. I felt like it wasn't necessary. Like, I felt they could have addressed the whole cave issue. They could have. They could have addressed it had they made certain cuts to the episode in some spots. I think that. Another plot line I just remembered, the Eugene and the radio. We didn't get anything with that. So the 3 top plot lines, because I remember there was one more, and I wasn't recalling it when I was remembering the other 2. So Lydia's whereabouts, because did she go back to the Whispers, or is she just completely by herself? What is Negan doing with the Whispers now? Like, that seems like that's a bigger cliffhanger, because now it's been 3 episodes since we saw him integrate into the Whispers. Like, what the heck's going on with that? And then Eugene and the radio. Like, that just... They set that up for the next community, probably the Commonwealth, and you had that one... The scenes where Eugene's talking to her in that episode, and then they just don't address it. They're like, oh, we'll deal with it at a later date. And it's just kind of frustrating because they set all of these chess pieces up, and they just they press the pause button. They're like, all right, let's pause, and let's deal with all this other stuff. And again, like you needed to conclude the Dante stuff. I get it. That was a huge reveal last episode, and they did a great job with that swerve. But I just think that it was a longer episode. It was it was the longest episode by far of this season, intentionally. And it felt like it was the shortest. It was the longest, but in reality, it felt like the shortest. Like, I just didn't feel like a lot happened. And it almost reminds me of the Scott Gimple days when not much happened. But, yeah, I wasn't too impressed. So that's why I gave it an 8. Yeah, it was a weak mid-season finale. Like, you want people to come back to your show in February and watch the rest. And I just kind of shrugged my shoulders at this mid-season finale. I was like, like, it's okay. Like, there's a lot of exciting, like, like Michonne going to the naval base. Like, I wonder what's going to happen. Like, the gang is stuck underground in a cave, and there's a whole bunch of walkers. Like, I wonder what's going to happen. Like, there was a whole bunch of, I wonder what's going to happen. Like, nothing happened. Like, other than Dante being killed, that was it. That was the only finality in this episode. The traitor is gone, and now they can focus on the Mega Horde and Alpha and these weapons that Michonne is going to get. So, that's about my assessment. Let me know what you guys thought. Yeah, there wasn't much to react to in this episode, other than Gabriel murdering Dante. The sequence at the beginning when Sadiq is a walker, that was pretty freaky. And, yeah, Well, there's the scene in the library where Luke is looking for sheet music, and I predicted that a walker was gonna jump scare and try to pull Luke from wherever he was, and sure enough, it happened, and I called it like literally 5 minutes before the incident occurred, and I just kind of chuckled and shook my head because I'm like, the show's done this so many times where, ooh, it's a safe place, people let their guard down, trying to embrace their humanity, and then there's just a walker just lying around, and here it comes. So, yeah. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I was indifferent to it. I like what they're setting up, but as a singular episode, I kind of just shrugged my shoulders. So, with all that being said, I hope you got... I have a lot of preview videos coming. Like I said, what's going to happen with Michonne, all those preview pictures that we got from the trailer for the second half. The third Walking Dead series was announced with the name, and there was a trailer where the helicopter group is present. So I'm going to do some predictions, like, do we think Rick is going to interact? Like, what are we going to get clues to the Rick Grimes movies? Why haven't the Rick Grimes movies had any news of any substance? Because it's now been over a year since Rick departed the show, and I'm really, really, really wondering what the heck is going on, because the Instagram account that I follow, where fans... This Instagram account uploads fan images of Andrew Lincoln with fans. And he still is in London right now. He's not in Atlanta or any other American film studio doing Walking Dead. Right now, he just finished an Australian film, and now he's back home. So I don't, there's no signs of him starting. Like, if he doesn't start filming this movie in 2020, like, I'm gonna really have my doubts about what the heck is going on and if he's even involved with this project, because Andrew Lincoln's gonna get older, and as more time goes by, I just can't see him wanting to, because again, he dedicated so many years to the original show, and I just don't know if he's gonna, like, if all of this time off is gonna make him ponder the future, like, like, does it, maybe I enjoy being away from the show. Maybe I don't want to be in these movies, even if it's a quick little thing. I don't know. That's a discussion for another day, but let me know what you guys think. I gave an 8.0 for my mid-season finale review. So tell me what you think. Comment, rate, subscribe. More vlogs coming. Hope you guys have a nice Thanksgiving. I might have a vlog before or after. We'll see. But for now, peace out.